ま10何年やっててこんな屈辱あるか。あかん思い出して腹立ってきたな。
いやまあまあまあまあまあ
なんでなんマジで。審査員分かってへんやろあいつら。
やめとけ。
何かしらの癒着。
R.Taxi really blew all my expectations out of the water, and seeing how far down R.Taxi is on live chart, not many people were expecting much from this new anime. For me though, the moment I read the synopsis, I was pretty intrigued by the concept. I thought it was pretty ingenious having the main character being a taxi driver, because we all know they for sure meet some interesting people during their line of work. So making an anime that has the main character in a position where it introduces us to all these fascinating characters sounds pretty good to me. But they somehow took this concept and made it way better than I could ever imagine. Instead of having the show being very episodic and having every episode just focusing on a different passenger, not only were they somehow able to do this, but they also figured out a way of having all the stories around each passenger to be connected in some sort of way. However, my favorite part about this anime is that every character we get introduced to, they seem so realistic that it's a bit freaky. Like, I've said this a lot to my friends before, but all of R.Taxi is like the meme, I'm in this photo and I don't like it. So let's go over all these characters and really break them down. I have a total of 6 characters I want to talk about, them being R.T.O, Tanaka, Kakihana, Kabasawa, Shibagaki, and Baba. To start this off, I want to talk about Kabasawa. The moment he was introduced, I felt like I was getting attacked. Just hearing him talk about how he wants to go viral and how his other friends are going viral, this just hit me right in the heart. Because as someone who is also trying their very best to make a name for myself on the internet and also seeing some of my friends achieving their goals, I really empathize so much with Kabasawa. That feeling of wanting to be noticed by a group of people and trying everything you can to make that happen, but yet still failing, I've been there before, and this obsession not only reflects on what I've been through when I first started my YouTube channel, it's also an amazing commentary on the state of social media as a whole. Everyone and their mothers now want to become the next big influencer on whatever social media is out there, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, etc, etc. And this mindset is probably never going to die, and it's just going to continue to happen because inevitably, new social medias are going to be made. Now, fast forwarding into the anime, we now see that Kabasawa has become quite popular on YouTube. Wait, I'm sorry, I mean YouTube. And with the new audience he has made, he has now gotten a good amount of haters. However, we found out that he's not handling all the pressure very well and realized that this type of lifestyle isn't really for him. I really appreciated that R.Taxi decided to finish his story this way. It shows to everyone that maybe there's something else that is more fitting for you. And being well known on the internet isn't everything you actually expect it to be. You may think you can handle it, but I know for sure that not a lot of people in the world could handle having any amount of hate from the internet. And Kabasawa is a prime example to show everyone the truth. Moving on from Kabasawa, some characters that seem quite fitting to talk about next are Shibagaki and Baba, but mostly Shibagaki. The reason I'm saying this is like Kabasawa, they have some similarities in which both of them want to become well known. However, the biggest differences that separates them from Kabasawa is that you can see proper passion with Shibagaki trying to achieve his dream. He's also able to handle the haters much more properly, and lastly, he isn't trying to become famous just for the fun of it or for the bragging rights. He's doing this because he really wants to prove to people the talents he has for comedy. These differences really make me appreciate Shibagaki much more. He's working as hard as possible to make his dreams into a reality, from entering comedy competitions, doing a radio broadcast, and still working as a waiter doing all of it. But the moment that hit me the most was when he was talking to Baba about when he was available to rehearse for the next round of the competition, and Shibagaki just couldn't seem to find a single day that Baba wasn't busy on. The reason why this scene resonated with me so hard is that I feel like this is something anyone who is working with somebody else on a big project has gone through at this exact moment. That feeling of hopelessness, disheartened, and slight anger all came back to me the moment I watched that scene. Now, I don't know what's going to happen next for Shibagaki and Baba since the anime has yet to finish. However, if I were to make a prediction, I would think that Shibagaki may leave the group and try doing it on his own, but who knows. Okay, the next character I want to talk about is Kakihana. He was really painful to watch throughout the whole show. Literally every time I was watching him in almost every scene, I was in so much pain. Every single action I saw this man do was so sad and desperate. This man straight up takes out shark loans to impress a girl he matches up on from a dating app. Then we learn this was all a scam to fool men out of their money. And finally, we see him all tied up in an abandoned warehouse, all beat up. As awful as this sounds, these actions are still very grounded to the real world. I may not have known anyone who has experienced something like this. On the other hand though, everyone knows what it's like to be extremely lonely and just wanting to be in a relationship so badly. Heck, I've been in that state before too. So I think we could all understand that someone could get to the point of being so lonely that they would start taking out loans to impress a girl with tons of fancy things. Because of this, it would make sense that people would start taking advantage of this to scam many lonely men. However, Kakihana being lonely isn't the only reason why he got himself into this mess. It also has to do with the fact that he thought that the biggest reason why he was not in a relationship is because he didn't make enough money. This insecurity combined with this crippling loneliness created the perfect gullible target to be scammed. And the worst part is, there were definitely a good amount of guys out there that are like that. Next up on my list, there is Tanaka. This guy is insane. Just like every other gacha player out there, am I right? Anyway, I do have to say though that episode 4 is incredible. We first start the episode off with an auction for a rare eraser. Then, because he didn't receive the eraser from the seller, Ditch 11, when Tanaka then sees the same username as the #1 spot in Zoological Garden, Tanaka saw this as an opportunity to get back at Ditch 11 by trying to take the #1 rank. So how does he try to do this? By rolling for gachas for 4 years. Then, when he finally pulls the super rare ultra mega rare dodo he's been rolling for, he felt that he had finally redeemed himself, and that everything up until that point was for this. So when he lost the dodo, he blamed Odokawa for everything because it was quote unquote his fault that Tanaka broke his phone. From all of this, it showed the audience exactly how Tanaka thinks. It helped explain to us how he makes the connections to justify for himself that what he was doing is redemption for all the awful things that has happened to him. And in my opinion, this episode is still honestly one of the best episodes of the anime. The pacing was just right, the music choice was perfect, and the voice acting was the cherry on top. Literally every time Tanaka is on screen now, I get awful chills down my back. And here's the thing though. I said that all these characters are too real. What about Tanaka seems realistic? Well, it's the fact that this obsession and addiction to these certain things brings in the realism. And if something like that were to happen to a real person, I feel like they would have done similar things. Lastly, but not least, let's talk about Odokawa. I love this man. He is such a mood. His straight face, I don't give a shit about anything attitude is great. However, the most interesting thing about Odokawa is his mentality. And honestly, I feel like if I wanted to properly try to talk about Odokawa, I need to have like a PhD in psychology, or at least have a professional psychologist to help break down this character. So you know what, I'm not going to even try to fully figure him out. I'll just leave everything up to the anime, because from what we've seen so far, R.T.O has been an amazing ride. And if it goes at the rate it's been going at, then R.T.O has potential to be the best anime of the year. All that's left really is, does it nail the ending? We'll just have to wait and see.